All right, how you guys doing? Gabe DeArmond here, Mizzou and Vandy about to get underway. It is on my feed anyway. I'm watching Mizzou kneel in the end zone, getting going here on the SEC network. So I hope you guys have that up on your TV, me up on your laptop. We're here to talk about the game, talk about what else is going on in the SEC throughout the day. This is brought to you by the Call Gentry Law Group down in Jefferson City. Go to callgentry.com, check them out there for any legal needs, personal injury, or other things that you might need. Sorry, had to bump the camera while I relocated my cup of coffee because we've got an 11 a.m. game. And, sometimes you need a cup of coffee for an 11 a.m. game. Some of you guys might have something a little different than a cup of coffee for an 11 a.m. game, but I just tried to keep it as basic as I can for the morning session. We'll do the stuff on do the fun stuff on the post game show. So Eli Drinkwitz, Derek Mason, they're on the sideline on my feed. Want to invite you guys, hit the like button, hit the subscribe button, comments, questions, whatever you want to do. This is just for those of you who haven't been here, Pat M is here. Don't recognize the name, but you may have been here before. But if not, appreciate you joining us for the first time. If you've been here before, thanks for coming back and being the first commenter on the day. But basically, this is just we're watching a game like we actually used to watch games and talk about it together. It's a virtual sports bar for everybody. So hope to have questions from you guys, comments, all that. Talk amongst yourselves. Don't worry, for my purposes in the chat about wrecking a play by commenting before it's up on my feed or whatever, it's truly not going to bother me. If it bothers other people, don't maybe look at the comments live. Just wait till I put them on the screen because I'll try not to put spoilers on the screen for those who might be watching on streaming or something that's a little bit slower. Breakfast King of Loyola is back asking about one of our other sponsors. Again, this show sponsored by Call Gentry Law Group, but our pregame show, which we had quite a few people on, a lot of good stuff, was sponsored by Burger Smokehouse. Wanting to know if I've ever had the country ham, thinking about ordering one for Christmas. I haven't had the full-size one. I've had some sliced ham from them, which I'll be honest, ham isn't my favorite, but I used the sliced ham to make some Cubans along with some pork, and it was very good. I was happy with it. Have not had the country ham because we go with either roast beef or turkey for the holiday meals. But look, everything I've had from them has been pretty good and pretty convenient. I like the little snack sticks. Those are good for just something quick to munch on while you're watching the game. Justin Ferguson back with us. Already did his pregame Jaeger bomb. Looks like Missouri is kicking to Vandy, so Vanderbilt starts with the ball first. We talked a lot about Sarah Fuller, the kicker, on the pregame show for Vanderbilt. Talked with Mitchell Forty on the pregame show. He said it looked to him like she wasn't trying many kicks beyond about 20 yards. She might kick extra points and short field goals. He anticipated that maybe somebody else would handle the kickoffs. That's obviously going to be a big story during this game. I'm sure they're going to talk about it a ton on the broadcast. We're probably going to focus more on what's actually happening on the field. But, again, any comments, questions you guys have is great. And I want to reiterate for those of you who maybe haven't been here every week, I have the broadcast on another screen. I cannot have the volume up. I do have closed captioning, so I can actually kind of see what they're saying. It's going to be a little difficult to read that and read comments and keep my focus here too. But Vandy going incredibly fast out of the gate. But I can't have the audio up because then the audio might bleed through onto our broadcast, which would put me in violation of many FCC laws, which is not something I want to do. So, we're just going to stick with my voice, and maybe we'll come up with some sound effects. I don't know what that means, but we can do it. We should probably save that one for more when Missouri makes a good play, which, They have not quite yet on my screen, but I understand they are about to. Okay, so Missouri gets the stop on 3rd and 1. There you go. See, sound effects are here. If I'm Vandy, I'm going for it on 4th and 1. I don't know that they will, but I 100% would. And maybe this is what you guys are talking about. Maybe you've already seen 4th down. So we'll see. Jim Bob Shell, want to welcome you to the show. Appreciate that you're here. So, again, look, we all watch this game kind of at different times, right? Some of you are watching on Dan doesn't like the sound effects. Some of you are watching on cable. I'm watching on a stream, so I'm going to be a play and a half behind you guys sometimes. So the analysis is catching up a little bit, and I understand that bothers some people more than it does others. Breakfast King of Loyola wants laser sound effects. I don't have a laser, but we'll see. I won't overuse them. I was just having fun pushing buttons. But as everybody said, Missouri gets a stop on 4th and 1. I love Vandy going for it. Why not? Who, of course, makes the play for Missouri? Of course, it was Nick Bolton. Sorry there. And as Justin Ferguson said, guys, he's having an incredible year. Having as good a year as anybody Missouri's had on defense, obviously since Kentrell Brothers. I think you're splitting hairs to figure out whether Brothers was better in 2015 or Bolton's better this year. But heck of a year, and now Missouri starts on its own 45-yard line. But I don't fault Derek Mason for going for that. That's what you do when you're 0-7. Got some had some uniform comments earlier. Robert Connolly likes the block M, so that's good. And Missouri already inside the 30. Couldn't see who caught that first pass from Bazelak. But it was on target. It looked like zone defense, just kind of finding a hole there. And the offense, this is a day you'd like to see the offense move the ball a little better than it has recently. Wasn't very good most of the day against South Carolina. Wasn't very good at all against Florida. I got to tell you, man, Towski Dove is one of the bigger surprises on this roster. He has made more plays than I anticipated he would make. I know he had one catch last week, but last year, a big one against Arkansas, but he just wasn't a guy that I thought would turn into a consistent playmaker here, and he really has and deserves a lot of credit for it. Okay, so Pat's asking, Bazelak was talking about being a redshirt freshman again next year. Did he misspeak or does he get an extra year? Everybody, this year literally doesn't count for eligibility. Whatever year you are this year, you have the option to be that again next year. Now, a lot of the seniors, I think, aren't going to take it. We don't expect Larry Roundtree back and all that, but this year simply didn't exist as far as the NCAA eligibility clock goes. That is for everybody across the board. It is what it is. They had to do it to get a lot of guys to play. If they didn't do it, they were going to have a lot more opt-outs because what kids were scared of is playing 3 games and all of a sudden everything being shut down, and then they couldn't continue. So they had to do it. I don't love that they did it. Missouri is in the end zone. Larry Roundtree with ease, really. I mean, that did not look difficult. So Larry Roundtree goes in from 7 yards out. And Missouri up 6-0 right now. Maybe 7-0 on your screen already. You know what? Harrison Mevis hasn't missed a PAT this year, so I'm going to put Missouri up 7-0, and we'll see in about 5 seconds if I have jinxed him and caused him to miss his first PAT of the year. I have not. He's still perfect. 7-0. Tigers lead only 3 minutes and 46 seconds in, and especially considering they didn't get the ball first about as well as you could have hoped to start. Dan's asking about Nico Hay as a big surprise. No question. No question. He was a guy that he was a wide receiver in high school, and again, I thought, hey, even if he turns into a player, I didn't expect it to be this quickly. And Nico Hay, definitely another guy I should have put there with Towski Dove as far as being a surprise for this Missouri team. And really the starting tight end, Partly, obviously, due to injury with Daniel Parker, but I'm not sure he wouldn't have been anyway, to be quite honest with you. Kentucky and Florida, the only other SEC game going on right now. That one is still scoreless very early on. Andy asking more about the eligibility. I don't think you should have to declare. You just, if you come back next year, you are what you are. Now, the coaches are going to have to know, as far as seniors, hey, do you want to come back? There's going to have to be some date for that. And the seniors that don't will obviously move on and free up a scholarship. The seniors that do, the schools will have to kind of, I don't know if they'll have to file paperwork or just, they'll know that, though, before we will. We'll do our best to find out when the season's over kind of what everybody's plans are and how that's going to affect the numbers. But I don't think they should have to declare anything because it's across the board. Everybody's in the same situation. So it just kind of, you just assume everybody's back. The only people who it's really going to impact are seniors. Now, what you're also going to have is situations where theoretically redshirt freshmen could go to the NFL because after next year, a redshirt freshman will have been out of high school for 3 years, or theoretically a true sophomore will have been out of high school for 3 years. So those guys can go pro. So it changes that for a handful of years. But I don't really think there's a process because, again, it's just something that everybody has to do. So good drive for Missouri. Good start. Again, invite you guys, any comments you have, just, hey, if you just want to talk amongst yourselves, like I'll pop some of them up on the screen. But a nice thing also on the chat is that you guys can have side conversations with fans. Somebody described this, what we're doing in a good way last week. It's like Twitter, except it's only about Missouri, right? So you don't have to filter through a bunch of other stuff to find out about the Missouri game. You can just be on here talking about the team that you guys enjoy. Breakfast King watching some other games. I guess Penn State and Michigan are playing right now. I had no idea on that. And Andy, yes, yes, incoming recruits, absolutely. Everybody's impacted by this. I've kind of gone on rants about it. I don't like the eligibility thing, but I understand why they had to do it. I really hate it for the winter sports. It doesn't make any sense to do that for the winter sports last year or next year. I didn't like it for the spring sports, but it is what it is. It's done. And so that's how it goes. And we've talked a lot about that on the message board and everything. Also need to get in and pull up the stat page so I can kind of keep you guys updated as Vanderbilt's first pass goes errant. And this is a big drive for Vanderbilt. Like if Missouri gets a stop and a score here, you really almost just think, you don't want to say it's over. No game's over in the first quarter. But if Missouri gets a stop and a score here, it's going to be very difficult. I just pulled up the stat page. It still says Vandy's facing 4th and 1 on the 44. So that's going to be real useful for us as we go through the game here. Let's see. Do you think Vandy's going to be in the rise, or are they just playing freshmen out of necessity? Look, they're not very good. They've had a lot of guys opt out, a lot of guys transfer. Vandy they face hurdles. This is a non-SEC program trying to compete in the SEC, to be honest. I mean, James Franklin did great work there, and they have had times where they've risen up, but consistently, like we talk a lot about the limitations Missouri faces in the SEC, but Vandy faces even more of them. That was a heck of a play against the blitz on 3rd down by that quarterback. Nick Bolton came free, and he pulled a little bit of a Mahomes, just took about 3 steps back to give himself some more time and floated it out to his running back. Really nice play by the quarterback there. Robert, I think Derek Mason's going to finish the year. We had an interview with Chris Lee from Vandy Sports on our pregame show. He does not think Mason's going to be back next year, but I definitely think he's going to finish this one. I mean, what do you accomplish at this point, by firing him? Nice play in run support by Ennis Rakestraw right there. Yeah, Dan, I don't know. Vandy, nobody pays attention to this, but Vandy won the SEC women's soccer tournament. They have at times, they don't right now, but they have at times had a pretty solid men's basketball program. So, And look, this is a thing that some people do pay attention to. It's by far the best school in the SEC, so they help out the academic profile. Vandy had a shot at a huge play there, overthrew it. Then Tyree Gillespie with a big pop against Henry Brooks, the running back, which, yeah, like Justin says, that's really going to hurt Vanderbilt. I mean, he's Keon Henry Brooks, I believe is his name. He's a guy that they can't afford to lose, and it honestly didn't look like one of Tyree Gillespie's bigger hits to me this year. We talked a lot last week in the South Carolina game when Tyree Gillespie hits you, you know it. Let's check this out. And I appreciate that they didn't throw a flag on that because, I mean, yeah, the ball was overthrown, but there's no way Gillespie can know that when he's going in to make that hit, right? That to me is not a dirty play, but it's a play that would draw a flag in a decent number of situations, and it didn't. So, yeah, Scott, I agree, Scott. Ennis Rakestraw looks like a guy who can be an NFL player. I mean, it's early, right? We don't know for sure yet, but all the early returns are obviously pretty impressive. Kentucky and Florida are playing like the fastest first quarter ever. They're already down to 7 minutes left in the first quarter. No score, which is kind of how Kentucky games go because they have no offense and just hand the ball off 65 times. So 7-0, Larry Roundtree in the end zone. Let's see if they've got any stats updated yet. They still do not. Stat broadcast appears to be broken, which is not great for me. So hopefully we'll catch up here. I guess I could go to the box score over on my other computer. No, they do have Missouri stats. Larry Roundtree, 3 carries for 14. Bazelak off to a 3 for 3 for 30-yard start. So, I mean, you guys knew that, right? It's not like they've had so much action that you don't know what's happened, but just some quick numbers there. Yeah, Patrick, I don't know that that's a cheap shot. I mean, because how do you tell a guy not to make that hit when he's got to decide before he knows? I mean, how can he watch that and say it's overthrown? What if the kid lays out for it and makes a great catch? I mean, it wasn't like it was overthrown by 10 yards. It's football. I mean, they might say defenseless receiver, and now maybe I'll see a replay here that shows that Gillespie actually hit him in the head. I don't think so, but we'll see. Now, the good news for Missouri is if somehow this were to be targeting, Gillespie's only out for this game because it's in the first half. I think you can probably survive without him in this game rather than missing him for the first half of Arkansas. So I don't see any targeting that we know of. So let's see. It could have been helmet to helmet. Yeah. On the replay, it looks a little bit more like a hit that Gillespie could have avoided. I agree with all you guys. Live, I thought that was okay. On the replay, a little bit questionable, but it's not targeting, and here we go, and now Vanderbilt doesn't make third down. So are they going for it again? They're not. I'm a little bit surprised, honestly. If I'm Vandy, I might just go for it. I might go for it on every fourth down. I mean, I don't know what you have to lose. Other than a game, which, let's be honest, you're probably going to lose anyway. I'd definitely watch a fake here. I'm in safe mode if I'm Missouri. And again, you guys are probably a play ahead of me and are probably saying, what the hell is he talking about? So this interesting drive for Missouri starting at the, 9 or 10. I mean, the first drive started at the Vandy 45, and it was easy and looked really good. But again, you're starting in plus territory. So this is a little more of a test. You go 90 yards here, even if you go 60 yards and kick a field goal and you're up 10-0, it gets pretty tough on Vandy pretty quick because I don't think this is a team that's really built for a big comeback or anything. So I'm also not sure it's really built to play from ahead. So. Yeah, Stewart, you just jinxed it. You'll be stressing out on the next one. But Cade Musser does deserve credit. He's done a nice job back there as Missouri's punt returner. And I know people want to see big plays and returns and all that. But, look, none of that can happen if you can't catch the ball. And Missouri has caught everyone since Cade Musser's been back there. So he is doing exactly what they've asked him to do. Oh, hey, a flag. Well, I guess if you're going to commit a personal foul, you might as well do it at your 10-yard line because it's only going to cost you 5 yards. So that was on Zeke Powell, as Dan points out. Or Nick Powell, as closed captioning called him on my TV. Hey, I don't blame him. He hadn't been here very long. I don't blame the broadcast. He hadn't been here all that long. Hopefully, eventually, they'll get to know who he is. I mean, I kind of blame him. That could be a late hit on Vandy at the end of that run, too. I don't know that they'll call it. There is a flag, so, yeah, I'm assuming that's going to put Missouri out at the 45-yard line. We got a little fighting on the sideline. I didn't – there was a Missouri player coming out there. I hope it wasn't Markel Utze. He's had enough of – it was 90-something. It looked like it might have been 90 to me, but, you know. Yeah, Breakfast King. Yeah, Missouri's bench talks a lot of trash, which, I'm overall kind of fine with, especially in a situation like that. That was definitely a late hit on number 30 there for Vandy, no doubt about it. Ooh, with targeting now. I don't know about that. I don't know. I mean, he looked like he was on his way down. So Wright is in there talking with a whole bunch of Missouri players. That was not Markel Utze. That was Jack Buford that was out there kind of coming off the bench talking trash. Roundtree appears to be no worse for the wear. This game's going to finish at 4:30 because we're going to have 17 targeting reviews. DeRicky Wright is the guy who had the flag, and oh yeah, that's helmet to helmet. He's going to be out. He's going to be out. That was crown of the helmet to side of the helmet. I think that one's getting upheld. I mean, Roundtree is going down. He's on a knee, head to the face mat. That's an easy call. Yeah, this shouldn't take very long at all. Okay, it wasn't helmet to helmet, but it was shoulder to helmet. DeRicky Wright's going to be done in this game whenever they get done with this review. Roundtree, though, off to a really nice start. 4 carries for 41 yards. I think Eli Drinkwitz would take that average all day. Oh, Michael Cox apparently was there. I didn't see him, which is disappointing to me. He's our favorite player after last week. Let's go ahead while we got a minute. We'll update these SEC scores. Florida has gone ahead 7-0. Missouri still ahead 7-0 for right now. I don't know how that is no targeting, though. I'll be honest with you. I really don't. I tell you what, Connor Bazelak, first of all, has all day, and second of all, has a lot of guys running open downfield. Vandy isn't really particularly. I mean, Bazelak could make himself a leftover turkey dinner in the pocket there on that play. And just kind of a deep crossing route, and Chisholm was wide open despite awful camera work. That was a poor throw going for Chisholm on first down there. I don't know if his arm got hit or just, I don't know, but he underthrew it by about 8 yards. Chisholm wasn't really open anyway. I like that play with Jalen Knox kind of coming around the formation, and that's something you see out of Drinkwitz at least a few times every game. Just something that you look at and say, I like the design there. It may not always work, but I like the design of bringing him around the formation. Pat's asking about Sean Robinson. He's not available today, so he can't play. So the backup quarterback would be Brady Cook if you get to that point. But look, Bazelak's a young guy. I'm not taking him out too early. I'd leave him in as long as you can. I know you don't want to get him hurt, but are we winning yet? If we is Missouri, yes, 7-0. So. And driving again, Missouri already really in field goal range. This should be a 2-score game. Obviously, you want the touchdown, but regardless, you should be able to add points here on this drive. I don't love the 0-yard pass on 4th and 3. I would kick the field goal from here. Breakfast King wants to go for it. I'd kick. I'd give Mevis a chance from 45 and see what he can do. Follow word brings up an extra point. He may be in concussion protocol. We'll have to. I don't know. We'll keep an eye on Twitter. So here is my rule change that I want to see in college football. If you hit the upright, you deserve at least 1 point, because hitting the upright is actually much more difficult than putting a ball between the uprights. And we see a lot of people do it. I think if you can intentionally do it, you should minimum score 1 point. Maybe you should score 4 because it's harder. Either way, big stop for Vanderbilt because they remain at least a part of the game. At 7-0. If it had been 10-0 or 17, you're in trouble. Or 14, I'm sorry. Why not go for it? I thought it was the right call. 4th and 3, it's not 4th and a foot. It's not 4th and 1. 45 yards is a makeable field goal for your kicker. I thought it was the right call to kick rather than go for it. The problem, again, was the 3rd down call, just throwing a screen or throwing a short pass to a guy coming back toward the line of scrimmage who never made it to the sticks to begin with. That was the wrong pass there. Dan's asking some playoff stuff. I don't know. We got to see how it all. It just depends so much on every other game and what other teams are in the discussion and all that. And we'll get into that, but especially if this turns into a laugher where we got to talk about some other stuff. But I don't know yet. I still, guys, I still think that I think kicking was the right move. Breakfast King wants 5 points for a doink. I wouldn't object. I actually kind of agree. Any recruits at the game? I mean, anybody that's in town is on an unofficial visit on their own, can't interact with the coaching staff. Isaac Thompson is supposed to be up here this weekend, but it's not a traditional visit. Recruiting is on a dead period right now. So it's not going like it has gone in past years. Quick stats, Bazelak 7 of 8 for 68 yards. Roundtree 4 carries, 41. Missouri already 111 total yards in less than 10 minutes, 2 possessions. Just a 7-0 lead, though. So, Vandy 1 for 3 on third, 0 for 1 on fourth. Missouri averaging 8.5 yards a play. Vandy 3.7 yards a play. So obviously all those numbers pointing toward Missouri, and we're not sure of the status of both starting running backs. Keon Henry Brooks took a shot from Tyree Gillespie. Larry Roundtree took one from Dericky Wright, and we're not sure if either of them are there. Mitchell Forty points out on Twitter that Kobe Whiteside is in the game. So first action since, I believe, the Tennessee game. Yeah, that would have been game 2. So Kobe Whiteside back in action for Missouri. Vanderbilt getting underway with drive number 3. Haven't done a lot on the first 2. Yeah. Keon Henry Brooks is back, maybe wishing he wasn't. Look, if there's a play made for this Missouri defense, it's Nick Bolton. It's just always Nick Bolton. I mean, it doesn't mean the other guys aren't good, but Nick Bolton is everywhere, man. The kid makes every tackle. He doesn't leave any for his teammates. And Gary's asking, we don't know if Roundtree is hurt. He just took a late hit, and we're not sure. He might come in on the next drive. We don't know, but he might be a little shook up. So Vandy picks up a first down, and really important, I think, that they sustain a little something here. Give the defense a break, all that. Missouri obviously missed a chance at 3 points there, kind of let Vandy hang around. Now Vandy needs to take advantage of it. I really like this Henry Brooks kid. He's a pretty good little player. Yeah, Jatorian Hansford. He got shoved backward and then missed a tackle, and he's a guy that you're going to need to see a little bit more out of sometime soon. And we'll have to keep an eye if Trajan Jeffcoat plays in this game. Mitch said he was warming up, but we'll have to keep an eye on if he gets out on the field. Let's see if I haven't necessarily seen Markel Utsey. That doesn't mean he's not there. I wasn't looking at the defensive tackles earlier in the game. He may very well have played. Why, follow word, why would Ennis Rakestraw transfer? Like, you appear to just be taking a random message board post and making something out of it. I see no reason to think Ennis Rakestraw would transfer. He starts every game. I don't mean to be rude there, but I just don't think there's any reason to believe he would transfer. Again, if a play is made on this Missouri defense, it is Nick Bolton. He is all over the place. Okay, Justin says Trajan Jeffcoat played earlier. Dan wants to talk more about Jatorian Hansford. I mean, I'll talk about guys when they make plays. And Hansford was in on that play there. So I think that's what Dan means. Maybe I motivated him to make a play there. Nice job there, but also nice job by Bolton of he came up at exactly the right time because he had some coverage responsibility, but came off of that to make the tackle. Okay, Justin is saying that Roundtree is coming back in the game, so that's obviously a good sign for Missouri. And this is one where you'd like to see a little something out of the offense. I mean, they've had 2 nice drives, but one of them ended up with no points. You'd like to see points out of this one to kind of get Missouri going again and stretch things out. I don't want to say get them going again because they've been going well, but you'd like to see a little bit of a comfort level right here and make this a 2-score game. So Missouri definitely attempted to come out and really try to feed Roundtree and try to get the run game going. Had the big 27-yarder a couple drives ago. Other than that, it's been fairly quiet, but Eli Drinkwitz definitely trying to stick with it here. Nice catch by Towski Dove, who I think that's his third catch already. Let me look at this. Fourth catch already. 4 catches for 38 yards. He has about half of Missouri's receiving yards. 4 catches on 4 targets. So, yeah, he's really a guy that I think Bazelak is starting to rely on and look to as maybe his top wide receiver. And again, first down run. I think what you're seeing is they've run on, I'm not going to say every first down because I don't know that for sure, but on most first downs, I think what you're setting up at some point is a 1st and 10 play action here. Whew. Still trying to wake up, guys. Early morning starts are rough. Roundtree again finding holes, and I mean already over 50 yards, 7 carries, 53 yards, 7.5 per. And if Missouri can do that, this game could be fast and fairly stress-free. There's the first down pass. Wide of Chisholm, but most of the targets so far, let's see, 7 of the 11 targets have been Dove and Chisholm. Bannister's got 2, Knox and Hay 1 each, but you're seeing Dove, Chisholm, and I think Knox are probably the top 3 receivers, but Bannister number 4, that's definitely your top group. There's the play fake to, I think that's Bannister again. So setting up 3rd and 3. All right, so that'll be 3rd and 3 to start the second quarter. Pretty quick first quarter after we got the targeting reviews out of the way. So what we do at the end of the quarter is update you on stats. Those are still the stats from last week. Obviously not accurate. They will be shortly. And again, you just kind of have to watch me type them in because that's what we do. Missouri held South Carolina under 300 total yards. They are on pace to do that to Vanderbilt as well. Just 67 yards in the first quarter, which would come out to, I think, 278. Rushing or passing yardage in favor of Missouri. Rushing yardage also in favor of Missouri, although not by quite as much, 55 to 39. First downs are very lopsided. Well, not quite. Vandy had a couple, so not quite as lopsided as I thought, but Missouri doubling them up 8-4. No turnovers at this point. I'll run through. This is just our basic stats page that I try to get up to give you guys kind of an idea of what's going on in some key categories, but we'll run through some other stats here in a minute as soon as I get these typed in. Okay, so there you can take a look at the basic stats. So a little more advanced stuff. Missouri averages 7.4 yards a play. Vandy 3.9 yards per run. A big difference. 6.9 for Missouri. 3.3 for Vandy. Time of possession almost even. Missouri with a 14-second edge. Only 1 tackle for loss in the game. That was what was actually credited as a sack for Nick Bolton. I'm not sure it should have been because I thought the quarterback had kind of made up his mind to run, but they gave it to him. So sack for Nick Bolton, who is already off. Let's see how many tackles Nick Bolton has. I'm guessing 4. Already has 6 tackles. Missouri only has 15 as a team. Nick Bolton has 6 solo tackles, a sack, and a tackle for loss in 15 plays. That's ridiculous. So yeah, Nick Bolton. Nick Bolton has made the tackle on 40% of Vanderbilt's offensive snaps. He has made a solo tackle on 40% of offensive snaps, which is pretty crazy, man. The kid is all over the field. I'm kind of scrolling through Twitter to see if there's anything else to miss or to point out. Mitchell Forty points out Luke Griffin has been at left guard on this drive. Xavier Delgado got the start, but Luke Griffin has been on this drive. So it could be a deal kind of working Nick Bolton in, or I'm sorry, working Xavier Delgado back in. Could be a deal. They just still want to make sure to get a look at Griffin, who I thought played pretty well at South Carolina. I don't really remember him, so that's good for an offensive lineman. So it could be either of those things, but Luke Griffin appears to be in on this drive. Again, Nick Bolton, 6 tackles on 15 snaps, continues to be the best player on the field on either side of the football. Looks like a nice day there at Furrow. I mean, it looks like a nice day out my window, and that's only a mile and a half away, so I'm sure it's a nice day there as well. Well, my feed just froze, and Connor Bazelak is just standing in the pocket, so that's something. See if we can get it through the ESPN app. Well, it started to come back, and now it's gone, so I don't know. You guys are going to have to stick with me, tell me what happened. Call up the other feed through ESPN, see if that works any better. But basically, Missouri is now on the Vanderbilt 46, facing 2nd and 10. Let's see what the last drive was. Bazelak to Beatty for 11. Bazelak to Dove for no gain. Jalen Knox ran for 1. So now it's going to be 3rd down and 9 from the 46. And not really in the field position to go for it. So big play coming up here. That 2nd down play was an end around to Knox, and it looked like he had the corner, but Roundtree had to come back and block the lineman. That left, I think, a defensive back, number 14, free to make the tackle. So I agree with Dan. You're facing 4th and 2.5 from the 39-yard line. I would 100% go for this. And again, you guys may already know if they do and what happens. Looked like Damon Hazelton was in on that play. So he has not been, cut completely out of the offense. 19 on the field. I think that's Jay Macklin. Is 18 maybe Chris Abrams-Drain? Let me grab my roster. But it looked like there were some guys that we don't normally maybe see on the field. No, Abrams-Drain is 15. 18 is Chance Looper. So it looked like maybe Looper and Jay Macklin were on the field for that 3rd down play. Barrett Bannister in the backfield coming out in motion, so 5 wides on 4th and 3. And that's just a bad throw. I mean, Barrett Bannister was wide open, and it was just a bad throw. I disagree with Breakfast King. I don't think it was cute plays that killed the drive. That's a bad throw on 4th down. I mean, there's really no other way to put it. That's 100% on the quarterback. The play was designed well. Motion Bannister out to find the coverage. Bannister came in. He was wide open, and Bazelak just threw it 2 yards behind him. I mean, sometimes it's as simple as a guy doesn't make a play, and that's okay. It doesn't mean he's bad. Doesn't mean he's not going to make the next play. But the end of that drive's 100% on the quarterback. That's just a bad throw on a throw that really you should complete the vast majority of the time as an SEC starting quarterback. I mean, that was wide open. Pretty interesting. Mid-second quarter, Florida's only up 7-0 on Kentucky, and Kentucky's got 3rd and goal at the Florida 4. So Kentucky hanging around a little bit there, which is not something I would have expected. And Vanderbilt hanging around in the sense only that Missouri is letting Vanderbilt hang around because Missouri can't finish drives. Got down to the 28, stalled out, missed a field goal. Got down to the 38, stalled out, made a bad throw on on 4th and 3. So this is on Missouri so far. Not on Vanderbilt. T-Rise, I don't think I think it's just as simple as Bazelak just made a bad throw. Like I don't I don't think we can really search for anything else. He just didn't make the play. And I know people get tired of hearing, because I get tired of hearing it, all right? When you ask a coach, what do you need to do different, blah, blah. Well, we need to execute. I mean, that's always the answer, right? Missouri's still going on that drive. Maybe it's scored by now if it executes. It didn't. It was a bad throw, So, yeah, the longer you let Vandy be in a one-score game, the more interesting it is going to get. And Dan brings up a good point. Connor hasn't been sharp for several games, and he hasn't been. The Kentucky game, they didn't really try to throw, so I'm not sure if that's him. But whatever. Basically, 4 games in a row, they haven't gotten great quarterback play. And again, he started 6 games, I think. This is his 5th this year. He started 1 last year. So it is understandable. But people wanted to start building the statue after the LSU game. And, you've just got to realize there's going to be some ups and downs and some bad breaks or some bad days. And that's what happened. And, hopefully he pulls out of it and plays well here. Yeah, I really don't know what happened on that throw. It just was behind him. I don't think there's anything more you can say. There's not a lot of analysis needed. Okay, Vanderbilt has run 16 plays. Nick Bolton has 7 tackles. He is on pace for 40 today. That actually may not be it's an exaggeration, but not by a lot. It's more like 22 or something. Well, that ball was dropped, or Bolton was going to have another tackle. So let's see how many actual plays that Vanderbilt has run, because some of them incomplete passes end without tackles, right? So Vanderbilt has run 20 total plays. Bolton has 7 tackles, but Missouri as a team has 16 total tackles, and Bolton has 7 of them. Nice coverage downfield. Was that Rakestraw? Yeah. MU's single game record for tackles, I don't know. I will have to look it up at some point. If I've got to imagine somebody's had 20 before. I'm while I'm doing this, I really am not able to look it up because it would just take too long to scroll through the media guide and there'd be a bunch of dead air. But we'll see. Yeah, if I'm drink, Dan says feed the running backs and run them out of the stadium. It's not a terrible approach by any means. If you can keep finding holes, you want Bazelak to be able to throw the football and make some plays there. But yeah, if you lean on the run game, you lean on the run game. Another kind of just this is very similar to the South Carolina game, right? It opened up with a nice touchdown drive, and now it's kind of settled into not a lot going on right now. Just kind of, Vanderbilt, no real threat to score, but Missouri has missed some chances to add on to it, so we'll see. There you go. Breakfast King of Loyola reports that Taft Sales had 26 tackles against Oklahoma State in 1982. So that's your record. Bolton has 7. We are, 18, not quite a third of the way, about 30% of the way through the game. So he's not quite on pace for 26. but I wouldn't necessarily rule it out. So appreciate everybody who let me know that Taft Sales is the Missouri record holder. Kentucky has caught Florida at 7, which I find at least somewhat interesting. Not sure that's a game I ever would have really expected to be tied at any point. 11-18 in the second quarter, almost exactly the same amount of time as is left in the Missouri game. So, again, Missouri finds itself in the same spot. And let's remember, Missouri gets the ball to start the second half, right? So, finds itself in that spot of you want to create some separation. You want to have a 2-score lead. Because if you do that, Vanderbilt hasn't really shown much ability to move the football. So, you feel a little better about things. But as long as you're letting them hang within one play, you're just a freak play away from being in a tie game. I mean, somebody misses a tackle, somebody blows an assignment, ball bounces weird, and all of a sudden it's a tie game. Missouri has clearly been the better team. I mean, it really hasn't been close, but Missouri has missed chances at key times. So, well, Mitchell says Vanderbilt won't run enough plays for Bolton to get the record. Let's see. They've run 20 total plays so far. Missouri's run 24. Vandy has the ball, so you're talking about on pace for 65, 66 plays. He could get it. I doubt he will. Don't get me wrong. 26 tackles is pretty insane. There you go. Breakfast King of Loyola just doing my research for me. Mitch wrote a story about Mizzou's most unbreakable records earlier in the year, and apparently had Taft Sales' single-game tackle record is number 4 on that list. So we'll see. Maybe Mitchell 40 rooting against Nick Bolton getting 27 tackles in this game. Just kind of plugging along here, running the clock. There's a nice throw by Bazelak. That's a much tougher throw than the one he missed earlier to Barrett Bannister. But again, Missouri has completed 14 passes, and Towski Doves completed 6 of them. Pretty interesting. They've thrown the ball 11 times. They've thrown the ball 17 times and run it only 11. So definitely leaning more on the passing game in this one. Maybe something Eli Drinkwitz saw coming in. As far as matchups go. Missouri picking up with a little tempo here, and Larry Roundtree's free again. Another 13. He's got 66 yards on 9 carries. Roundtree should be at 100 at halftime, maybe, the way this thing is going. Outside of Roundtree, Missouri has 2 carries for 3 yards. Yeah, Corey brings up a good point. They don't really have the big play threat. I guess Tyler Beatty, maybe Jalen Knox. Pat's asking, is Drinkwitz a pass-heavy coach? I don't think that's fair. I haven't looked at App State's exact numbers last year, but I know they had an NFL running back. I don't think they've been pass-heavy this year. And, I mean, again, we're talking about a guy we've got, 18 and a half games sample size. But I don't think it's fair at this point to qualify him as a pass-first head coach. I think we tend to think that offensive guys – who have a reputation for some innovation, we think of them as pass-first guys, even though it might not be true. I think that might have been Chris Abrams' drain on that reception, was it? Yeah, it was, the freshman. So you can see now we're getting into the last half of the season. Some of these freshmen who haven't played much are getting a little bit more run. So I want to say, right now I'm watching Missouri at 3rd and 5.5. This to me is 4-down territory, again, from the 40-yard line. You've got 2 plays to get this 6 yards. Nice throw to Towski Dove, who now has 8 catches, which is certainly a career high for 62 yards. I'm actually going to look and see how many catches he had coming into this game for his career, because I don't think it's a whole lot more than 8, if we're being honest. I think he had something like 11 this year. Let's see. So he had, coming into this game, Towski Dove had 12 catches for 141 yards. He had 2 catches last year, so he had 14 catches in his career. He has 8 in this game, which is pretty impressive. Larry Roundtree up over 75 yards with his second touchdown. That one an 8-yarder. And it appears that Missouri is rolling a little bit now. Excellent drive, no question, for Missouri. I'll check exactly. I want to say it went about 80 yards. I think they started around their own 20. But Missouri now up 14-0 after Roundtree's second touchdown of the day. And looking, I mean, honestly, even more dominant than a 14-0 score would indicate. Missouri has clearly been the better football team today. All right, so let me check Roundtree's numbers. He's not at 100 yet, I don't think. 11 carries for 94 yards and 2 touchdowns. Bazelak 17 of 20 for 143. We were asking for better offense. We are seeing better offense. First downs 14-4. Total yards 240 to 70. If you're not a math major, that's about 3.5 to 1. Passing yards 143 to 31. Rushing yards 97 to 39. Missouri is dominating a team you would expect them to dominate, I would think. Single game reception record, yeah, Pat says Justin Gage, 16. I think Denario Alexander may have tied that, but I could be wrong. Roundtree, again, 94 yards right now. And obviously playing very well. All right, Todd Julian back. Appreciate it. Very smart of you to wait until Missouri was up 14-0 so that you knew everybody would be in a good mood when you got here. I like that approach. Let's check what that drive was for Missouri. 9 plays, 82 yards, 352. So, yeah, it was the time of possession now, by the way, is getting pretty lopsided because Vanderbilt can't really string anything together. Time of possession, 13:54 for Missouri, 8:15 for Vandy. And now you've got 7:50 left. So now what you're looking at is this. If you can get a stop here, score before halftime, you get the ball to start the third quarter. Look, I'm not going to say this game is over now because weird things happen and it's only a 2-score game. But if you get up 3 scores on Vanderbilt, I've got a hard time seeing how Vanderbilt really has much of a chance to come back and even make it interesting. I just haven't seen anything out of them that shows me they can. Kentucky still hanging with Florida, tied at 7:40 left in the second. That's not a great thing for the Gators, who struggled with Vandy in the first half last week. Okay, so Pat M helping me out. Denario had 15 against Kansas in 2009, one short of tying the record. TJ Moe also had 15 against Iowa in 2010. That would have been the bowl game, the Insight Bowl, obviously, where Blaine Gabbert threw for 400 and something, but then threw a late pick, and Missouri got beat. I believe that was Alden Smith's last game at Missouri, actually, too. Well, I know it was because Alden and Gabbert got drafted in the same year, both in the top 10. All right, so long commercial break, but we're getting back there. So yeah, Missouri can really again kind of end this here in the next 5 minutes. You got to stop and a score, even if the score is a field goal. I got a hard time seeing how Vandy does much about it. At that point, the big suspense might be whether Sarah Fuller gets a chance to kick a field goal. Wait, Jim Bob Shell, is that true that it was the coldest day in Scottsdale that's in the century? Because I don't really remember thinking it was that cold. I was also in the press box. So Vandy, I mean, they just got to get something done on this drive if they want to make this interesting at all. They've got to get something done here. Off to a good start with a nice run. Todd's asking if we're gonna do live with basketball games. We're talking about pre and post game shows for SEC games and maybe for bragging rights. Bragging rights might be a little weird because there is probably going to be a home football game that day, so we might have to kind of figure out, you know, who goes where, and I may not be able to go live, but we're definitely talking pre and post game for conference games. Not sure about the game watch alongs there. All right, so 1st and 10 at the 40 as I watch. Again, you guys are probably a play ahead of me. I think Nick Bolton's going to be involved here, maybe. That looked to me like a fall. Oh, Bolton almost had the pick there. Obviously thinks he should have. That's a tough play for a linebacker. I thought the left tackle fall started on that play, but they didn't call it. Yeah, that would have been. First of all, it would have been an amazing catch for anybody, much less a linebacker. Second of all, it wasn't going to be complete because it was thrown well behind the receiver. But Bolton just stacking game on. I mean, I really think Nick Bolton's got to be in the conversation for SEC Defensive Player of the Year. Somebody was in the backfield there for Missouri. I couldn't see a number, but somebody got back there, put pressure on. Martez Manuel made the tackle, putting Vandy in about 3rd and 5. But looked like it might have been Darius Robinson on the pressure. Does that sound right? Wow, I did not realize that 3rd down pass was caught. It looked really low, but nice catch. So Vandy, like keeping hope alive for now, and I think now you're at the point of your Vandy, you're in 4-down territory. Vandy's, I thought the tight end jumped on that play. Vandy looks like it's moving early on the left side of the line pretty frequently. It may just be my vantage point. I was not wrong there. Okay, good. Kentucky inside the Florida 10-yard line again, trying to take a 14-10 lead. That would upset the apple cart in the SEC. It would also put potentially the SEC East title back in play for Georgia. Missouri should still have enough time to get the ball back at least once. Vandy now going to be in 1st and 20 unless they get a timeout before that delay. They did not. So now 1st and 20, you need to get the stop and get the ball back. You don't want to let Vandy out of jail here. Same thing still kind of holds on 2nd and 17. The another injury for Vanderbilt, and this just doesn't look like a Vanderbilt offense that is really capable of making this super interesting. It's kind of like last week against South Carolina. If Missouri scores one more time, I think it's got enough points to win the game. Now, Drinkwitz said he was not aggressive enough in the second half last week, so it'll be interesting to see if he would take a different approach this week. If he gets in a situation where he's up 17 or 21-0 in the second half. But really at this point, Missouri's only stopped itself. Had a missed field goal, had a bad throw on 4th down. Every drive has at least gotten inside the Vanderbilt 40. Vanderbilt, I think this is their deepest foray into Missouri territory at the 47-yard line. So this just kind of has all the appearances of a complete mismatch right now. Vandy obviously could get that narrative changed around, but they don't really appear like a team that is super interested in doing it right now. Ken Seals, 6 of 11, 44 yards. Keon Henry Burks, 11 carries for 42. Vandy averaging 3.9 yards a play, 4 yards a pass, 3.9 a run. It's just there's just not much, there's no big playability or not much in the way of a dynamic playmaker there. This game's putting me to sleep. Yeah. Let's see. Kentucky kicks a field goal to go up on Florida, 10-7. Now that game, it really shouldn't have a major impact on anything in the East because Florida would, while it would still be tied for the division lead, it has the tiebreaker on Georgia. I'm going to look at schedules real quick. It would actually still have a half game lead on Georgia, 6-2 to 5-2, but Georgia plays South Carolina tonight, so you would think they are going to get to 6-2. After that, Georgia has Vanderbilt and Mizzou left. I know Florida has LSU. I'm going to have to see who else they would have. LSU and at Tennessee. You would think they would win those, but you would think they would beat Kentucky. So if Florida loses that game, it does bring Georgia back into play for the SEC East. It sort of could Missouri, but not really. Are they calling this a fumble? Let's see. I mean, they're calling it a fumble. I don't know if it is a fumble. And I guess it doesn't matter because it's Vanderbilt's ball. Looked like Trajan Jeffcoat maybe got back there like Stu's saying. Let me take a look at the replay. Markel Utzi almost jumped. And I mean, Jeffcoat just directly around the left tackle. It was never close to stopping him. I'm still not 100% sure that was a fumble, but Vandy actually should hope it is because it makes it 3rd and 16 instead of what would have been probably 3rd and 21. Either way, I don't think a great spot for this offense. Seals Ken Seals has no chance. Who got that one? That's Trey Williams, and Missouri just, if you can go score here, this game's over, guys. And I want you to stick around and we can talk about things in the second half. But if Missouri scores here, this game is just completely over. Vanderbilt can't really block Missouri, has no answer for Nick Bolton, and hasn't really stopped him yet. This is just a dominant effort on both sides of the ball so far. Cade Musser with the return. Missouri going to start at the 20. So 80 yards in 3:19. And again, even a field goal would win this game. A field goal would put them back in the same situation they were in last week. 17-0 before the break, and just no indication that the opposing team has any threat to do anything. So we're gonna go. I'm gonna look at some other scores while we got a minute. See what's going on in the top 25. Not a lot. Indiana's leading Maryland. Texas Tech and Oklahoma State are tied. So that's it. Other than Kentucky, Florida, only three top 25 games going so far. Okay, Pat's asking, is there any chance we don't play the Georgia game due to the schedules flipping around? There's always a chance, right? But again, especially if Florida loses today, I think you're going to see that Georgia game put on December 12th, and then you're going to see Mississippi State push back to December 19th. Arkansas is already next weekend. So that's the goal. I think Arkansas, then Georgia, then at Mississippi State. You got 3 weeks to play them. But, yeah, I mean, Missouri's at that point where there's no more places to put games. If one of those teams has to cancel, or if for some reason Missouri has to cancel, then you can't really postpone it anymore unless you're just going to say, yeah, we're going to play this game after the SEC title game, which would seem weird to me. But, sure, there's a chance, man. I mean, we're figuring out every Monday who they're going to play the next week. So there's plenty of question marks. I just want to see a game where an offense just runs the wheel route on every single snap, because I think it might work, because I've never really seen anybody effectively defend the wheel route. Tyler Beatty he was wide open. I assume number 12 had man coverage against him, but he had no chance to keep up with him. Beatty was just way too fast. And every Missouri drive now has reached the Vanderbilt 40-yard line, inside the Vanderbilt 40-yard line. They've scored touchdowns on 2 of them. They missed a field goal on 1, and they turned the other one on downs. But every Missouri drive has reached the 40. Vanderbilt has yet to reach the Missouri 40, I think. So minute 48 left. I guess I didn't realize we were quite that close to halftime, but Vandy takes a timeout. Missouri's got plenty of time. Clock not a factor. Ideally, again, you want to score a touchdown, but you get the ball to start the second half. So basically, Missouri's got 2 chances to take a 3 or 4 score lead in this game. Missouri takes a 3. This game may be over now. Like 14 points might win this game. But if they add another score on either this drive or the next one, I think it's 100% over at that point. And I think Missouri knows that. So Gary asks about Beatty playing on Sundays. The size will be an issue. He's not an every down back in the NFL. But I think maybe he's a guy that you can find a role for in the NFL. Couple years. I don't see any reason he'd leave early. But he's moving the chains for Missouri now. Let's check back on rushing yards. He now has 4 carries for 17. Missouri's run for 112 as a team and averaging 7.5 per run, I think. Let's see. Averaging 7 per run. And Beatty in the end zone on a 28-yard touchdown catch. And this game, folks, is curtains. I mean, Beatty just made that I think it was a defensive back look absolutely silly at about the 10-yard line on that. Okay, Now Mitchell's saying he doesn't think he got to the end zone. For now, it's a touchdown. I guess we'll take another look. Maybe there's a replay. It's really close. It's really close. He probably didn't get in. I think he's down about the half-yard line, maybe. So let's look at this. Let's look at this drive to answer that question and see what Tyler Beatty did. He had a 4-yard run, a 7-yard run, a 4-yard run. So that's 15. 24-yard catch is 39. 28-yard catch would be 67 if he's in. He's got either 67 of Missouri's 80 yards or 66 of its 79 on this drive. So, yeah, this is overturned from your guys' comments, but I agree. Give the ball to Tyler Beatty from the 1-yard line. Minute 33 to go before halftime. You would think Missouri score on this play. Maybe you throw it to Beatty because Bazelak's stats got hurt a little bit. Is that Jack Buford in the backfield? I think it was as a fullback. I'm pretty sure that was number 66, Jack Buford, lining up as a fullback. Messiah Swinson was in the game. Maybe it was him. I couldn't tell for sure, but yeah, there's 66. Jack Buford was definitely in the game as a fullback. So interesting there. Again, Drinkwitz showing some versatility. So Tyler Beatty had 67 of Missouri's 80 offensive yards on that drive. Is the second half kickoff going to be the only time we see this girl kick for Vandy? If she kicks off, yeah, it might be. I mean, Vandy doesn't look particularly interested in scoring points, if we're being honest about things. Okay, so it is 21-0. The ball game is, it's over. There's Vandy would need 2 weeks to score 21 points, and I'm not sure, honestly, that would do it. I'm going to show you guys a little something here that I think you'll probably like, maybe. Here we go. Pat 40. Tigers on their way to 4-3 with maybe a couple more winnable games remaining. Most of us pretty much already handed the SEC Coach of the Year trophy to Sam Pittman, but Eli Drinkwitz might ultimately demand a recount. And I think that's absolutely in play if Missouri finishes the way that it's been going with games against – Arkansas is a winnable game. I think Missouri will be favored. Mississippi State is a winnable game. I think Missouri will be favored. I think they'll be underdogs to Georgia, but if they go 6-4, I think you're looking at a situation where Eli Drinkwitz definitely gets Coach of the Year votes and maybe wins it. And again, if he beats Sam Pittman, and Arkansas ends up like 3-7. It's kind of hard to give a 3-7 coach of the year, isn't it? Vandy taking a shot should have been picked off. I don't want to say should have been, could have been picked off, but I also want to say if you are very well could have been picked off. Let's put it that way. Should have, maybe a stretch, but absolutely could have been picked off. If you're Vandy, though, down 21-0, like, I know you kind of have to try to attack, but I don't know if you can do it. I mean, I don't know if you can do it. You're not good enough. And see, now here's the problem. You're in 3rd and 10. There's 1:06 left. Missouri has 3 timeouts. You're gonna give Missouri the ball back with a chance to score again. And that's I guess it doesn't really matter, but you know. Yeah, Pat, I think Drinkwitz definitely tries to score. I mean, why not? Your offense has not been stopped all day. You go up 28-0, you pretty much in the game. I'd absolutely try to score. Ken Seals is not the fastest quarterback I've seen. Drinkwitz calls the timeout with 56 seconds left, so that's the right play there. Stewart brings up a good point. The reason people play defensive back is because they can't really catch. So that is fair. You're right. Wouldn't have been the easiest interception ever for Tyree Gillespie, but definitely an interception that could have been made. So I don't remember a lot of times that Connor Bazelak has had a chance to run the 2-minute drill. It's probably happened, but just nothing really sticks out to me. So I'm interested to see him kind of try to operate here, no huddle, 2 timeouts. You've got time. It's you've got time to get some things done here, at least get into field goal range. He's having a heck of a game so far, 20-24 for 207. Missouri's on pace for already 640 yards of offense. Vanderbilt's on pace for less than 200. Honestly, it's amazing this game isn't worse than 21-0. This is a completely dominant performance. So Missouri will start at, the 31, I think? Okay, so nice job by Beatty getting out of bounds on the first play. You gotta save times there. Save some time there. Guys, if our viewers can give Pat M some recommendations to pick something up in St. Louis, he would, I think, appreciate that. He needs a halftime meal. I'm going to have a leftover turkey sandwich at halftime, so. So nice job by Damon Hazelton of staying, checked in enough to go make a play. Like he's seen his playing time dwindle, all that, but he goes out and makes a play there. Also, with 45 seconds left in a half, you just shouldn't allow that pass to be completed on the sidelines. I mean, cut off the sidelines. Funnel things to the middle of the field. This is a bad Vanderbilt team. And Connor Bazelak's playing very well. But I really just this Vanderbilt team looks as bad as everybody said it had looked. I don't think there's much question about that. Our friend Pat getting a ton of recommendations for food, some better than others. Hazleton kind of ran the wrong way there. Think you got to use a timeout. Yeah, they do. The second one. So they are at the Vanderbilt 41, 3rd and 5. Theoretically, maybe close enough to try a field goal if you had to. I mean, Mevis might have the leg for 58. But I think you'd rather not find out. I think you'd prefer to get a little bit closer. Last few minutes of the first half kind of seem to have ground to a halt. Hope you guys stick around for the second half because we're gonna need some filler, right? We can talk about maybe some other college football things and all that because otherwise at this point we're gonna do what ESPN is gonna do, which is spend an hour and a half talking about Sarah Fuller, which good for her. Hope to see her play, but Okay, yeah, Bazelak takes the sack at midfield, and now you just go to half. Vanderbilt not calling a timeout, Missouri not calling a timeout. Just get to the break. That's good for everybody, I assume. Maybe if you're Missouri, you call a timeout to throw a Hail Mary. It looked like that's what they're doing. I get it. I probably wouldn't do it, but that's fine. Okay, so Scott Santowski Dove is hurt and going to the locker room. So let me see if we've got anything on Twitter on that. Don't see anything quite yet, but we shall wait. Oh, Florida just took the lead on Kentucky on a Kadarius Toney punt return. That's a rough way to undo a really good half for Kentucky. At least we get to see Bazelak's arm strength here, maybe. Or maybe not. Now Vanderbilt wants a timeout. It would be difficult for 3 seconds to take longer than these 3 seconds have taken. Okay, so Scott says it's Dave Matter saying that Towski Dove went to the locker room. So I would say that is reliable information. Dave is at the stadium. I mean, I guess there's no harm in throwing this Hail Mary, right? Unless something really weird happens and he gets somebody hurt or something like that. I still probably would have gone to halftime, but, that's fine. I'm not going to spend a bunch of time criticizing it. Well, it didn't work out great. Not a great block by Roundtree. It's going to hurt the total offense numbers. So Missouri's going to go to halftime up 21-0 on Vanderbilt. Look, you can't complain, I think. Yeah, Justin brings up a good point. He rolled right into the sack. Not ideal, not a perfect ending, but it also really, after the first sack, completely didn't matter. Again, all it did was hurt the total yardage a little bit. But check this out, guys. Total yardage. Missouri has 325, and Vanderbilt 93. That's better than a 3-1 margin. I mean, Missouri just dominated this game in every possible way. Let's look at rushing yards. Rushing yards is probably the closest. Missouri with a 90-49 lead in that category. I put it in the wrong place, so hang on. So 90 for Missouri, 49 for Vanderbilt. They only ran for Vanderbilt, I should say, ran for only 49 yards in or 10 yards in the second quarter. Roundtree has 94 yards rushing. Missouri has 90 as a team because in college football, which is stupid, sack yardage counts against rushing yardage. So Connor Bazelak actually has negative 23. The total passing yards completely in favor of Missouri, and I typed wrong. So 235 yards for Connor Bazelak, 44 for Ken Seals. Missouri dominating in every way it can dominate. Let's look at the first downs. Missouri 19, including 11 in the second quarter. Vanderbilt has 6. No turnovers for either team, but Missouri just, I mean, they are completely dominating this game in every possible way you can do so. Every drive Missouri had reached the Vanderbilt 40-yard line. 3 of them did not end up resulting in points. 3 of them did. Missouri could easily be up more than 21-0 here. And Missouri gets the ball to start the third quarter. Not much more you can ask for, really. Coming off a break, dominating a team you should dominate. You know, I don't think there's a ton of of analysis that needs to be done. Missouri's a much, 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 much better team. There's your analysis. Missouri is, you know, I think in the position you score on the first drive of the third quarter and you start looking at some backups. Not the backup quarterback yet, and there are not a ton of backups on the roster, so not going to be maybe a typical backup game, but I think you get as many guys on the field as you can. Real quick, before I take a quick break to go grab some lunch, and then I'll be back before the second half does start. What I'll do is I'll just kind of leave the stats page up for you guys while we're on a break and while I'm going to grab some food. But want to thank again Call Gentry Law Group out of Jefferson City. You can check them out at callgentry.com. You can look up a phone number and give them a call. Talk to Chip Gentry. They will take care of any legal needs you guys have. They've helped me out with some things over the years. Do a great job, great service, and appreciate everything that they've done for me and can do for you, so make sure to check them out if you get in the situation where you need it. Thanks to them for making our show possible here. Like I said, I'm going to take about a 10-minute break. I'm going to go make some food. I'll be back for the second half. We'll talk about that, and then we will hear from Eli Drinkwitz and break it all down on the post-game drink later on this afternoon when this one wraps up. 21-0 Missouri. At halftime. Again, I'll be back with you guys in about 10 minutes. Leave the window open. That's what I'm going to do. I'm not going to shut anything down. I'm just going to leave the window open. So leave the window open. Go grab yourself some food. Go grab a drink, whatever. Flip to another game if you want to. But we'll be back here for the start of the second half in a few minutes. All right, so hey, my camera got flipped around. There I am. Gabe DeArmond back with you. 21-0 Missouri at halftime over Vanderbilt. And it's been really not even that close, if we're being honest about things. Larry Roundtree, 94 rushing yards, 2 touchdowns. Tyler Beatty, 67 yards on 1 drive, the other touchdown. Nick Bolton, 842 tackles. Let's see how much. Actually, 7 tackles. He made those all on Vanderbilt's first 16 plays, I think. Vanderbilt really hasn't had very many plays since then. Missouri only has 23 tackles in the game. I'm eating lunch at a halftime. I don't know what you guys are doing. Florida leads Kentucky 14-10 at the half, and the only other SEC game going on. This is just Missouri playing a team that's not as good as they are and dominating. This is honestly what we expected to happen in the Vanderbilt game last year. It didn't. It's part of the reason Eli Drinkwitz is here. Justin says need to come out and score and then get some younger guys an opportunity. That's what you'd like to see, right? Come out, get another score, even if it's only a field goal. Get another score. It becomes a 4-score game, and you get some guys that don't get a ton of chances, some chances in this game. So, like I said, I'm here eating my leftover turkey sandwich because that's what I do on Saturday after Thanksgiving when football's on, whether I have a show to do or not. And, hey, when it's an 11 o'clock game, sometimes lunch just falls in the middle of the game, and you guys have to deal with me eating. So that's what we're going to do. But I'm going to hang around and talk with you guys about whatever you want to talk about in the second half of the game, whether Sarah Fuller gets on the field, whether Vanderbilt does anything approaching an SEC football team on offense. And we're going to be here for the rest of the day. And then after the game, I'm going to record Eli Drinkwitz's press conference, and we're going to do the post-game show, and hopefully we'll talk to some of you guys about what happened today. I found generally that in blowouts, in blowout wins, people don't have as much to say as they do in a close game or in a blowout loss, right? Because most of us want to talk about what went wrong. Well, not a lot's gone wrong today. Missouri hasn't finished drives. But other than that, they haven't finished all the drives. They've finished some. But they've had 3 other drives that could have resulted in points that haven't. But other than that, I mean, Connor Bazelak has 5 incomplete passes. He's thrown for 235 yards. Missouri is outgaining Vandy 325-93. Larry Roundtree has 94 rushing yards. There's only 1 penalty. Missouri has 19 first downs. I mean, not much to find fault with so far in this game, if we're being honest about things. So, but hope you guys will come back and we'll talk about, again, I hope you guys will stick around for now. But then afterwards, hope we'll talk about, hey, what this means going forward and, what the ceiling is for this Missouri team going toward the stretch run. Let's see. See a Twitter video of Dan Mullen destroying his defensive coordinator. Dan Mullen continues to be the most unlikable person in the SEC. Really a weird day in college football. Nothing happening in this early slate of games. I mean, Kentucky's pushing Florida, but that's it. Like, Indiana's playing Maryland. That's the only top 25 game. Other one. So, I assume Justin saying you've got to let her boot it, right? Bad look to have her onside it. Talking about Sarah Fuller, who, again, Mitchell had some thought that she might not handle kickoffs for Vandy, but at this point, that might be Vandy's only chance to get a kicker on the field. I think she's got to do it. Like, if you bring her on this trip, I think she needs to play. And I know that's not really how you should make decisions, but I still think that it's a factor. Okay. Todd, appreciate all you guys being here. Pat asking about a boxing match. I had no idea Tyson and Roy Jones were fighting. Boxing hasn't been something I've watched probably since high school. We've got to be getting close to the start of the second half, right? I've got some weird looking thing on my feed. I don't know exactly what's going on. The window now appears to be frozen. Now it's starting up again. Okay, here we go. So, yeah, Vanderbilt huddling up, and Sarah Fuller coming on the field. And, like, look, guys, this is a big deal, right? And whatever anybody's feelings are about it, I mean, this is kind of a big deal, and it's kind of cool. If you're offended by this, I guess that's your right, but it seems weird to me. Dan, I don't think the Vanderbilt female AD is calling the head coach. I'd be shocked if that was happening. So it was just kind of a pooch kick. I don't really know if that was designed or what. I guess it was. I don't know. Indicates to me probably that she don't have the leg to kick one, down inside the 5-yard line or something. Also seemed weird that it was being held and not on a tee, but I don't know. She's a soccer player. I don't know. Weird deal there. I don't think it probably does a whole lot of good to talk too much about it, if I'm being honest. Good for her. Good for Vandy. All right, so Larry Roundtree gets a yard. He's 5 away from 100 for the game, which might really be the only suspense, or to see how many balls Towski Duff catches. There was some speed there from, was that Knox? That was Beatty. Okay. Okay, so Missouri, Tyler Beatty and Larry Roundtree have really been good for Missouri today. I'm going to add up these numbers. They've got 113 rushing yards. Beatty has 81 receiving yards. So those two players have combined for 200. No, hang on, my math is real bad. Okay, Roundtree and Beatty now have 132 rushing after this run by Roundtree. And Beatty has 81 receiving. So that is 213 total yards for Missouri's running back duo, which is that's quite good, guys. That's going to win you a lot of football games, including this one. Todd wants to see some Elijah Young. I think he will in the fourth quarter. Maybe even a little bit sooner than that. But you also have to remember that Larry Roundtree is a senior. He's probably only got 3 more of these games left. So 4 if you include a bowl game. So you want to give him certainly a chance to rack up a few more numbers and all that. But yes, I agree. Elijah Young playing would be a good thing for everybody involved, really. Now, there's Elijah Young breaking tackles, going down to the 7-yard line. Sir Mufflebun's asking about J.J. Hester. As far as I know, he's available. I'm not positive. He hadn't really played much this year, so I don't know that Mitchell was looking for him pregame, but I think he's available. Looks like Roundtree and Elijah Young were in on that play. Young down to the 3. I think there's an effort to get Elijah Young in the end zone here. I think that's what's happening for Drinkwitz. And, yeah, Jack Buford coming back in as a fullback on 2nd and goal. So Young now to the sidelines. Roundtree down at the 3.5, no gain there, so it'll be 3rd and goal from there. Maybe we'll see a 3rd down handoff to Jack Buford, huh? That'd be something. Let's see. You're asking if number 2 is J.J. Hester. I've got a roster. I'll check after I see this 3rd down play. Bazelak misfired there, looking for Bannister. Number 2 is Micah Wilson on offense. So, yeah, Hester's number 13. So, yeah, Bazelak misfired. They're going to go for the field goal, which is the right call here. I know it's not what you want, but it's the right call. You go up 24. Force them to basically get 3 touchdowns and 3 3-point conversions, which, look, we all know isn't going to happen. So it's the right call. Go up 24-0. I know I'm sure Bazelak wanted a touchdown. I'm sure Drinkwitz wanted a touchdown. All that, I get it. But the field goal's the right call. Because, look, Vanderbilt's probably not going to score. They're definitely not going to score 3 times with 3 2-point conversions. So, pretty much what I'm saying is Missouri has won this game. And I'm eating the second half of my sandwich now. Which I guarantee is better than what I would have gotten in the press box. So. Missouri now outgaining Vandy by almost 300 total yards, 387 to 93. First downs are 22 to 6. Total plays are 56 to 31. Per play 6.9 to 3.0. I mean, I can't find a single statistical category Vanderbilt is winning. Time of possession 21 to 13. Vanderbilt does have more fumbles, 1-0. But it's literally the only statistical category Vanderbilt is winning is fumbles. So, not great if you're a Commodore fan. And I think this really, this underscores why Derek Mason is going to lose his job. I mean, this team's got nothing. Pete, that's why everybody's here, is to watch me eat my lunch. When, I tell you what, if they could play a football game that kicked off at 2:30, I wouldn't have to have lunch right here. Or if they could play a football game that only lasted like an hour and a half, I would have to have lunch. But this is the way it goes. So you guys are here for my meal time. Might be here for nap time if the second half keeps going this way. I'm almost done, though. Hope you stick around anyway, Pete. No, Justin, I really don't care what you guys think about watching me eat because, like, that's just, it happens. I'm going to have food here. I'm solo. There's no other way to do it. So, you know, if you want to make some hygiene jokes or whatever, I'm good with it. But I'm enjoying my leftovers, so no worries. Okay, so here's a good question from Eric, and I'll get to that here in just a second. I don't know how you rebuild Vandy. I really don't. Because Vandy is in the SEC, but they don't act like an SEC program. I don't think they care about athletics. They don't have the commitment to it. They've never given a coach the resources to be good. Now, it doesn't mean you can't be good. James Franklin was very good there. So you can win 7-8 games in a year at Vanderbilt and do that a few years in a row, and you'll probably get a better job, and then Vanderbilt has to go find the next guy to do it. But they just don't have – I mean, the stadium is old and tiny. They don't put any money into it. Nobody goes. It's not – there's no tradition. It's just very, very hard to be – like at Vanderbilt, if you're fifth in the SEC East, that's a good year. And if you're 7-5 and playing in the Duke's Mayo Bowl, that's a good year. And it's tough to build a program that way. And if you do build the program to that point, the truth is you're probably getting a better job. So you just have to go find guys in recruiting. You have to out-evaluate people. Hey, Nick Bolton missed a tackle. Excuse me, a tackle. I feel like that's breaking news. You just have to out-evaluate guys in recruiting and, you know, hope to pull a couple upsets here and there. And that's the way it goes. And, you know, Patrick brings up a good point. Mason's fielding a historically bad Vandy team, which is tough to do. And at watching this team, I have a hard time making an argument that Vanderbilt shouldn't fire him after this season. I mean, this team is uncompetitive and Eli Drinkwitz deserves credit. And Missouri is better than we thought they were and having a good year and all that. But Vanderbilt doesn't look like it is playing the same sport. They just are. There's been not one play during the course of this game where you felt like Vanderbilt had any chance to win, including that one. Josh Bledsoe makes a tackle for a loss. That's Missouri's fourth. Maybe that was Jarvis Ware that made the tackle. They're showing Jarvis Ware, so I assume it was Ware and not Bledsoe. Either way, it put Vandy in 2nd and 14. There hasn't been one snap where Vandy looked like it belonged in this game. You know, so it's very difficult. And yeah, Pat says their school president said they wouldn't care if they don't have athletics. I don't know if that was the exact quote or if that's a direct quote, but that's the way Vanderbilt acts. They don't care if they have athletics other than a baseball program, which has found a way to be one of the best in the country. Nick Bolton, 8 tackles, 2 sacks. He's a monster. You know, I'm running behind on comments, so I'm trying to catch up. We will get back to some of the Vandy talk in a minute because at this point, look, I don't know what else there is to talk about. Missouri's going to win this game. They're going to do so in dominant fashion. Hey, nice job running around by Ken Seals there to get a first down. Actually, I assumed this Vanderbilt drive was going to be over, but he converts 3rd and 16, and so that's something. And look, keeping the shutout going is something that Missouri's going to be interested in. Now, here's something I'm interested to see. What if Vandy stalls out at like the 12-yard line and you're facing 4th and 1? Football says you go for it. PR says you let Sarah Fuller kick a field goal. And that's – it kind of sucks that it's something you'd have to think about, but I kind of think it's something he'd have to think about if they get to that point. We've got an injury on the field for Missouri, do we? Well, Jarvis Ware thinks he has the football. I may have missed a fumble here. Did I just completely miss a fumble? I don't know. Jarvis Ware wants the turnover robe before they reverse this call. Let's see. That ball's out, I think. Jarvis Ware dove on it. I'm pretty sure that's going to be Missouri ball. It's close, but I think that ball's out. I think it's Devin Nicholson that ripped it out. So Devin Nicholson, it's really close. I think it's out. Because they called it a fumble on the field, I think it stays a fumble. But Devin Nicholson's the guy who had the interception to ice the South Carolina game. And then he yanks that ball out. Jarvis Ware jumps on it. There wasn't a Vandy guy anywhere close to it. Mizzou just tweeted it's a fumble, so I assume that the call is upheld. It is Missouri ball. First turnover of the game. So even when things were kind of going well for Vandy, things quickly don't go well for Vandy, which is kind of like what it's like to be Vandy football, I think. Yeah, Kevin brings up a good point. Vandy is now leading fumbles 2-0. They are also leading turnovers 1-0. So those are the two statistical categories in which Vanderbilt currently has the edge. And really, if you're Missouri at this point, hand the ball off to Roundtree a few times, hand the ball off to Beatty, hand the ball off to Elijah Young. Like I don't really know that Connor Bazelak needs to throw again. I'd probably give Brady Cook the fourth quarter just to get him out there and give him a shot. Well, they did throw again. Short pass, but this is now you've hit the point where you're kind of at that South Carolina point last week where they can't win the game. I mean, Vandy cannot win this game. You've got this game won, so now the goal is to get this game over. And I know, like, that's boring for fans, right? I know you want to see them pour it on and win this game 45-0. And if they do, that's great, but I don't – it's not necessary. Roundtree, really nice cut after he made that catch all the way down inside the 35. Missouri doing pretty much anything it wants to right now. Robert Connolly wants Robert, I thought you were saying you want a turnover robe for Christmas. It's not the worst idea. I don't think I'd wear it, but I'm sure there are some people out there who would. So let's go back to the numbers. Roundtree has 153 yards of total offense. Beatty has 109. So that's 262 yards of total offense out of your two running backs. Elijah Young added 21 to it. These guys are doing pretty much whatever they want to do. Clearly, that's the position coming into the season that we said probably was Missouri's strength, and it is so far. I think 45-0 necessary if they want to have a shot getting into the top 25. One, I don't know how much that matters, but two, I'm not sure that's true. They were 28th last week in the coaches poll. So really what they need is some teams ahead of them to lose, regardless of what the score is. Apparently Michigan's down to Penn State. Hate to see that, right? How much is Larry Borum's return helping the O-line? Eric wants to know. It's got to be a factor, right? And Xavier Delgado has played today too. So they're back to the line they had at the beginning of the year. So that's definitely a factor. I don't think you can discount that. Larry Borum has had one heck of a season so far. It didn't work well on 3rd and 3 there. So 4th and 3, I'm kicking here. I'd be interested to see what they do. I'm kicking because you want to see if your kicker can make a 40-yard field goal. So there you go. Harrison Mevis from 40. Missouri has scored on both of its second half drives, even though, they've both been field goals, but they've still gotten points. Every drive has gotten inside the Vanderbilt 40. 5 of the 8 have produced points. It's looked like a game against, I don't know. I don't want to say SEMO because it's not that bad, but one of those directional teams, Eastern Michigan or something, that just wasn't a challenge. You came into the game knowing what was going to happen, and then it happened. And this wasn't quite that before the game. You could find some scenarios where you thought Vanderbilt might hang around and compete, but they haven't. Vanderbilt just... And Missouri deserves a lot of credit. Missouri's played very well. Vanderbilt hadn't shown any fight at all. This doesn't look like a team playing to save its coach's job. This looks like a team trying to get to the end of the season, to be quite honest with you. So, Missouri will take it. Not going to turn it down, and it doesn't count for any less. I'm sure they'd love to get the shutout and put up a 34-0 or something like that. Because everybody wants to do that, and again, I'm not trying to take away from Missouri in saying this because Missouri has played very well. Missouri's the better team, deserves the win, all that. But I just haven't seen anything out of Vandy. I can see why Vandy is losing 41-7, to South Carolina. Hats off to Ryan Walter. This is a Missouri defense that the last 3 of the last 4 weeks has been really good. Obviously not against Florida, but not very many people have been good against Florida. They're very good against Kentucky, very good against South Carolina, very good today. And while you'll look at it and say, yeah, but those are bad teams, again, all you've got to do to be good is beat bad teams. They've done to Kentucky and Vandy and South Carolina what good teams do to bad teams. If they can do that to Arkansas and they can do that to Mississippi State, they're going to be 6-4. And at this point, I assume they'll be favored to do that. I'm not going to go so far as to say I think they're going to beat Georgia, but I'm not going to write it off as a game they absolutely can't win, right? So this is an interesting stat. Larry Roundtree now has the second most 100-yard games in Mizzou history. So hang on. Brad Smith had 18 of them, and Larry Roundtree now has 12, which I will show you in a screenshot I just took here in just a second if I can figure out which one it is. There it is. So let me get some of this other junk off the screen. There you go. Larry Roundtree, second most 100-yard games in Mizzou history. He's got 12. Brad Smith has 18. He's the second leading rusher in school history. He's up at somewhere around 3,500 yards for his career now. Good for him. And a heck of a career. He's got 3 or 4 games left in it. Today has been one of his better days. 18 carries for 130, 7.2. He scored twice. He has a reception that went for 23 yards. He's gotten some help from Tyler Beatty with 99 yards of total offense. Elijah Young with 2 carries for 21 yards. Again, just like pick out any player or any number or anything you want to pick out, and it is an example of how Missouri has dominated this game. I mean, just every single thing you can find is an example of that. Eric's asking how many Power 5 teams target Ryan Walters as a head coach this season. I'm not sure he's a Power 5 head coach after the season. I think a group of 5 head coach, and I don't know which ones are going to be open, right? Like if the Coastal Carolina guy gets a job, if Billy Napier at Louisiana gets a job, some of those, that level of program, I think he's a fit there. I don't know that he's ready to be a Power 5 head coach. Now, look, maybe something comes open out in the Pac-12. I don't honestly know who's good, bad, or indifferent there. I think the whole thing's just kind of average. But if there's an opening in the Pac-12, he went to Colorado, he's from out there, maybe that makes sense. But I'm not sure he's a Power 5 guy yet. Stuart, yeah, I agree with you, man. Vandy is playing like a team that just knows the coach is gone and doesn't particularly seem to care about it. There was a lot of talk Vandy didn't even want to play this year. They've had a lot of opt-outs, all that. Derek Mason, I'm not big on firing guys in a pandemic, but Derek Mason probably should have been fired the last couple years and hasn't been. So if he loses his job after this year, look, he had 7 years and hadn't gotten it done. I don't think he's had a single winning record. I'm not going to feel too terrible for him. At least Will Muschamp was a 500 head coach who had gotten an extension, and they had to pay him $13 million to go away, which didn't make a whole lot of sense to me, but whatever. There's a bunch of things that SEC athletic departments do that don't make a whole lot of sense to me. So let's see what's going on. Florida's now up 24-10. That game looks like it's probably over. Later on, we're going to have the Iron Bowl, the Egg Bowl, whatever they call LSU, A&M, and Georgia, South Carolina. Didn't Mizzou shut out Arkansas a few years ago? Stuart wants to know. Yeah, there was a shutout of Arkansas, 24-0 something. They shut out Arkansas. I don't know, 2-3 years ago. One of those really, really bad Arkansas teams. I don't remember if it was the year Brett Bielema got fired on the field or they all kind of run together to me. But I do know that they did have a shutout. Vandy, somehow amazingly in this game, Vandy's like getting worse. Every single play is a little worse than the one before. Right now, Vandy has 137 yards of total offense. Larry Roundtree has 151. Larry Roundtree maybe could be winning this game by himself. I don't know if Roundtree has 10 first downs in this game, but I bet he does, and Vandy only has 9. That might have been a really nice catch for another first down. No, he didn't catch it. Never mind. So, yeah. This is really what it would be like for like the live stream of a game against Murray State or something. We're just trying to find ways to keep people entertained until the post-game show starts. And this is where you gain a lot of respect for the broadcasters on the game. Like, there's probably some people saying, why are they talking about this female kicker again? Look, guys, they gotta get to the end of this game at this point. Over under 3.5 Mizzou guys get picked in the 2021 draft. I think so. Let's think about the possibilities. Bolton, Gillespie, Bledsoe, Roundtree. Could they all get drafted? They could. What does Mike Maietti? Does he have a chance there? I wouldn't think Trey Williams would, but I guess it's possible. He has some of the physical tools, but I think Bolton, Gillespie, Roundtree, and Bledsoe are the ones that you would think would have the highest likelihood. If all four of them got drafted, you could take the over. The 3.5 is a pretty good number to set it at. I'd probably take the under at 3.5. A little bit surprised Missouri's still throwing the ball, but hey, man, you got to, again, there's 2 minutes left in the third quarter. You've got a young quarterback. This isn't running up the score. This is also a season where your guys get 10 games. It's just, if you don't want this to happen to you, then stop somebody. I mean, that's what it comes down to. Roundtree, and I think also you give the starters 3 quarters, right? Leave Roundtree in. He doesn't have many of these games left. Who knows if he's going to play in the NFL? So let him. This is an SEC game. There's no such thing as running up the score in an SEC game. Leave Roundtree in. Get him 150. Nothing wrong with that. Bazelak, 29 of 36 for 297. He's going to end up with another 300-yard game, which I think would be his second. I think LSU was the only other time he hit 300. I'd have to look it up to be exactly sure, but I think that's right. Is this how Alabama fans feel 3/4 of the time? Pretty much. It would be kind of boring to follow Alabama, or frustrating, because if you go 11-1, it's a bad year. That would be a terrible way to live as a sports fan. You would just, because even if you win, it's just like, well, yeah, we knew that was going to happen. 11-1's a bad year, and you're pissed off. Like, that'd be tough, man. I don't know if I could do it. Although probably if I got to cheer for a team that had like 5 rings, it'd probably be okay. 3 out of the last 4 games, the Mizzou defense has made the other team pull their starting QB. That's right. That's a good point by Morgan. I hadn't thought about that. So we're at the end of 3. It's 27-0 Missouri. It appears to be headed toward a lot to 0 as a final score. I mean, I think at this point we can say it would be a little bit surprising if Vanderbilt scored, because Vanderbilt simply hasn't done anything that has approached scoring so far. If Missouri gets 1 more or 6 more yards, it's inside the Vandy 40 for a 9th consecutive drive, which is just unbelievable to me. So yeah, it is. It's a beating. I mean, I was trying to think of the right way to say that without saying something I'm not supposed to say. It's just a beating. So I don't know, guys. We'll keep rolling through comments and questions for a little bit, for probably another, 35 minutes, however long it takes them to play this fourth quarter. I would imagine it will be a somewhat quick one. Eric says Nico Hay looks like he's really bulked up since last year. Credit to our new strength training guy. I think that also probably has a lot to do with him just simply being in a college strength program for the second year. And again, yeah, credit to David Woodfin, not trying to take credit away from him, but I think that very well may have happened just by being here for a second year, and being in a college routine for the second straight year. I like that Drink is using more of the playbook in the second half this week versus last week. Yeah, he said he was too conservative last week, and so you can see a little bit different approach this week. And they did what they didn't do last week. Last week they could have put the game away in the third quarter, and they didn't. This week they did. I mean, this one's over. South Carolina doesn't even have time Vanderbilt doesn't have time to come back in this game, even if they had shown any inclination whatever to do so. Florida now up on Kentucky 31-10. So 2 dreadfully not competitive games to start the start the day in the SEC, leading up to Bama and Auburn and Ole Miss and Mississippi State at 3. So those coming up. Okie State return an onside kick for a TD. Not sure I've seen that before. That's pretty interesting. I've seen teams come close, but I'm not sure I've ever seen it actually happen. I think they should make a rule that there are no commercials in games that are in the fourth quarter and more than a 3-touchdown spread. I don't think the advertisers would like that rule. I don't see how it would ever have any chance to pass, but I think they should do it. Once again, this is On the Call from Call Gentry Law Group. Check them out at callgentry.com. They are located in Jefferson City, Missouri. You do not have to be located in Jefferson City, Missouri to use their services. Just look them up on the internet. They have a live chat feature that you can use there. You can give them a call as well. Chip Gentry is my guy down there. He's offered me some advice and done some things for me in the past, but they have a full team that will take care of you, personal injury stuff, any other legal needs you have. Again, callgentry.com. Check them out. Thanks from earlier today to Burger Smokehouse on the pregame show and to Boulevard Brewing Company, which will be sponsoring the postgame drink. When this game is over, I am going to end this broadcast. I'm going to get on Eli Drinkwitz's Zoom call. My goodness, Tyler Beatty is fast. I'm going to get on Eli Drinkwitz's Zoom call, record that, and then start the post-game show. We'll play Drinkwitz's press conference back, and then immediately after that, we'll start taking calls and just talk about whatever you guys want to talk about. Really good. I think we went about 2.5 hours last week and had a lot of people involved, so we'll go as long as there are calls and as long as there are things to talk about. It's an early game. I don't have anywhere to be, so we'll talk about whatever needs to be talked about. That is Larry Roundtree again from, I don't know, I was talking and it kind of quit paying attention. Larry Roundtree from 25 yards. He has now run for 160 and 3 touchdowns. And maybe SEC Offensive Player of the Week. I mean, kind of depends what happens the rest of the day, obviously. But it is now 34-0 Missouri. Roundtree is rolling. Connor Bazelak has been nearly perfect. Nick Bolton has been all over the field. And if Eli Drinkwitz could draw up a script for what he wants a game to look like, this is the one, I think. So the third for Roundtree, there you go. Mitchell says it should just stay 34-0 in honor of Roundtree. There you go. Also says there should be no commercials because only idiots are still watching this game. All right, so I'll get back to Danny's question because this is like the type of thing we can do during this format when the game is a blowout and we're at commercial and all that. How different is print journalism from broadcast? So I was a broadcast major at Mizzou, and I was in TV for about 4.5 years till the guy who employed me and signed my checks decided he didn't want me to be in TV at his TV station anymore. It is very different. Broadcast is just like, it's pretty surface level stuff, right? It's, hey, here's the highlights of the game in 45 seconds. Here's 20 seconds of somebody talking about the game. Here's a couple stats. Print, you obviously have much more room to get in much more detail. Now, they're all kind of merging together because of the way everything has changed, the way you guys consume sports and the way we cover them. You no longer need us to tell you what happened. You watched it. So we do things like this. We're doing the live streaming. There's no point for me to go to a game to interview Eli Drinkwitz on the computer. I can do that from here, and I can give you guys another platform and a way to kind of check things out. But it's definitely different skill levels, or not skill levels, but different skills involved. You need to be more concise, usually in broadcast. Now, not in this platform necessarily, because I've been talking for 4 hours now, and probably have another 3 or 4 left. But in most cases, you have to be more concise in broadcast than in print. But, I know a lot of people just aren't comfortable in front of a camera or don't speak well into a microphone. So it's a different kind of medium, but you have to be able to do it all at this point in time. You have to be able to write. You have to know how to do a podcast. You ought to be able to do some video or TV stuff because it's really the only way to stay relevant at this point if you can't do it all. So appreciate that question. Let's see. Do you think Drink will allow any of the opt-outs to return even if they want to? Yeah, if they want to, I think they can. Especially like Thalen Robinson. I wouldn't. That's cutting off your nose to spite your face. I mean, he let Jack Buford back in when Jack Buford had opted out, and I know it was only 3 weeks, not a full season, but still, the intent was there to leave or to not play this season, and then he changed his mind and Drinkwitz let him back on. So, look, every coach said that they would let those guys back on and it wouldn't be held against him. Now, it's obviously not true in every case, but I think you have to let guys back in. Does Kobe Whiteside get drafted? That's tough because he hadn't played much this year. He doesn't have the prototypical body type. He's actually a guy I could see it maybe being advantageous to come back another year. I don't know that he will, but he's a guy I could see the extra year might do him pretty good. Can you win Offensive Player of the Week against Vandy? That's cheating. At his best, who was better, Roundtree or Josie? Man, I hate this question because it's probably Henry. He was obviously faster. He's really shifty. He was as good as he was after that knee injury. Like he was a better back probably than Roundtree, but that's not underselling what Larry has done here because Roundtree he's been one of my favorite guys in the last 10 years to watch play without question. Definitely one of the guys that probably deserves a little more credit, like I've said, than I think he'll end up getting. Nick Bolton just made like his 87th tackle. Was that Nick Bolton? Oh, no, that might have been Chad Bailey. Might have been. Yeah, they've got all kinds of backups on the field now. Chad Bailey's on the field. Devin Nicholson's still out there. Jatorian Hansford's still out there. Jarvis Ware's still out there. So not all backups, but I think they do have a number of backups. Looks like Ish Burdine is there in the slot, so that's good to see him back. He was a guy who hadn't played last week, hadn't been available. It's kind of hard to be reading numbers from the overhead shot. Vandy throwing on 3rd and 1. I think maybe they should go for 4th and 1, but I'm not sure you go for it down 34-0 because, then you're almost just inviting the other coach to run up the score on you. Time to see Brady Cook and some of these backups. I agree. At this point, Brady Cook, J.J. Hester, Jay Macklin, Chris Abrams-Drain, Chance Looper, Elijah Young, Messiah Swinson. I think you want to see all those guys on the field. I leave the offensive line out there. Hey, fake punt. So there you go. Vandy did go for it. And now, again, what they are inviting is, okay, Missouri can go score, but that's okay. Will Missouri get in the top 25 this week? So I'm actually going to look up while we're here the who's in the top 25. See who's down at the kind of those bottom 5 teams. Texas lost. Oklahoma State, let's see, what are they doing? Oklahoma State is beating Texas Tech. North Carolina lost. Louisiana and Tulsa. Let's see what they have. Tulsa's in the American. Tulsa plays Houston, so it's possible they could lose that game. And Louisiana plays winless Louisiana Monroe, so they're not going to lose. So basically, number 21 Texas lost, number 23 North Carolina lost, number 25 Tulsa could lose, 19 Auburn could lose, but it'd beat Alabama, and they're not going to fall below Missouri. Nevada and Liberty were the first 2 teams out of the poll. I have no idea. I don't even know if I know what conference Nevada plays in. Okay, Nevada plays at Hawaii tonight at 10 p.m. Central if you want to stay up to watch that. So let's assume them and Liberty win. It'll be tough for Missouri to get in. Also because, again, they're playing Vandy, which is not a team that's going to impress a lot of voters, but it's possible they get in. So I was looking up top 25 scores and completely flipped away from the game. So, as Todd says, Vandy's getting close to field goal range here, and Sarah Fuller is warming up over on the sideline. Okay, Pat says Tulsa's starting quarterback is out, so they definitely could lose. So, if Tulsa loses, Missouri has a chance to get in. It'll be close. My guess is more it would be next week by beating Arkansas. But I could be wrong. Yeah, Justin, appreciate the heads up on the Mountain West. I did find it. That was actually the first conference I went to. That's what I thought, but I wasn't positive on it. Mitchell wants Nick Bolton back in the game. And it looked like it doesn't matter if Missouri gets the shutout, right? But I promise you all those guys won it. And, this is cool. So Mason Pack, this kid has spent every day at practice for 5 years as a walk-on safety, probably never getting on the field. And he gets out there and he makes a tackle for loss, and he's going to remember that. That's cool for that kid. Even though, it's not like it's, excuse me. It's not like it's crunch time against Georgia, but he's going to remember that play, and that kid has put in a lot of practice time. Everybody as much as Larry Roundtree or a lot of these other guys who get the glory every week. So cool for him to get that moment. Okay, so it's 4th and 4 from the 33. There is zero chance they're sending Sarah Fuller out to try a 50-yard field goal. I mean, there's no way. Right? Right. Yeah, they're going for it. So you guys probably already know what happened here. Ed, welcome back. Yeah, you definitely should have bet Mizzou plus 40 over Florida. I'm still not sure Mizzou would cover, but yeah, that would have been a better bet than last week, which actually I thought I was going to lose. Ed and I had a lunch wagered on Florida plus 40 against Vanderbilt last week. I like the shovel pass by Vandy. Good idea. It did not come anywhere close to working. Jatorian Hansford, his second really nice play of the day. Looked like Darius Robinson and maybe Cannon York were in on that. So Missouri probably going to get the shutout at this point. That's the that looked like Vandy's best chance. They crossed midfield. Good for them, I guess. They can take that home with them. I hate to be so dismissive of this because this is where if you're in the press box for this game, like Mitchell and Dave Matter have their stories written. They're all done. All they're doing is waiting to get quotes to plug in after the game. The stories about the game are done because this thing's been over for an hour and a half. Maybe not quite that long, but you get my idea. So we're just filling time here. I assume Bazelak will not come back out. He finishes 30 for 37 for 318 yards. Didn't throw a touchdown, but never came close to turning the ball over. Compare that to Vanderbilt's quarterbacks, who were 12 for 21 for 93 yards. That's better. Missouri, 5 yards from 500 for the game. Vandy has 179. Again, still leading in the fumbles, though, 2-0. So they've got that going for them. All right, let's get back to some of the comments. The last Missouri shutout, I'll look it up. Again, there was one against Arkansas not too long ago in the last 3 years. So let's find Missouri here at sportsreference.com, which is an excellent website to look up historical data. Okay, so I know they haven't had a shutout this year. I'm fairly confident they didn't have one last year, but I'm going to look just to make sure. They were shut out last year. They did shut out SEMO last year, 50-0 on September 14th. Now, that is obviously an FCS team. They did have a shutout last year, but let me find the last one against a Power 5 team. Would have been 38-0 Arkansas on 38-0 over Arkansas, November 23rd, 2018. So that was that would have been Chad Morris's first year, I guess, and that was probably the worst Arkansas team of that 3-year run. So yeah. So yeah, Connor Bazelak, I assume done. I haven't seen yet. They haven't broken the huddle on my screen, but I assume it's going to be Brady Cook at quarterback. Let's see if I can identify some of these guys. Barrett Bannister out there, Micah Wilson out there. That looks like Messiah Swinson at tight end. Chris Abrams Drain is in. Elijah Young is in. Brady Cook is in. And Cook's first pass is only going to gain a couple yards, but it's a completion. So whatever he goes on to do, that's the start of his college football career. Thoughts on how recruiting finishes out? I can't. So the question, Scott, about a lot of people thought there would be a lot of decommitments. That was always based on kids at some point being able to take visits, which they can't do. So I don't think we'll see those decommitments at this point because those were always based on coaches saying, hey, I know you committed there, but like, come check us out, see what we have to offer. Elijah Young, about half a step from going the distance. He has been very impressive, I think, today. Let me look at the numbers real quick. I know they're good. He's only got like 4 carries, but 4 carries for 52 yards. I think any coach is going to take that after the 35-yarder. He lost 4 on the next play, but, you know, it happens. So Elijah Young with a nice day. Missouri as a team has run for 208 on 33 carries. Boy, it looked like he lost a whole lot more than 4 yards on that play. But second time this year, Bazelak completed over 80%. That's impressive. A lot of Elijah Young love, which is understandable. Definitely nice to see, you see some young guys get a shot out here, right? See Brady Cook complete a pass. See Elijah Young break a big play. See Messiah Swinson get a catch. I believe that's the first catch of his career. The snap counts are going to be tough for Mitch to do tomorrow. There's going to be a lot of firsts. Probably the notebook will have something on some of the firsts that you see out of this game. I think Drink goes after some grad transfers at O-line and wide receiver. I would certainly expect that, yeah. Or traditional transfers because it's not going to be a situation where – it's probably going to be a situation where people don't have to sit out next year. So I think that's something. Brady Cook, that is a beautiful throw. Who caught that in the end zone? Number 7, that's Damon Hazelton. First touchdown pass of Brady Cook's career. Good for him. And again, it's not a crunch time, but like that's the type of thing that he's always going to remember, the first one, you know. And so Damon Hazelton, he gets in the end zone. See what the distance was on that. 25 yards. Starters, backups, doesn't really matter. It's all worked for Missouri today on both sides of the football. A completely dominant win. Missouri would have covered the plus 40 at Blythe. So good to see out of Brady Cook. And again, good to see out of Damon Hazelton, who has stayed in it enough to get on the field and make a couple plays in this game. That's something that, you know, a lot of us hadn't seen coming. So Bob Douglas says the throw was better looking than Mitchell's hair, which if any of you guys are familiar with Bob Douglas, that's a heck of a statement from him. going to be a competition between Cook and Macon in the future? Yeah, it could be. I mean, I'm not going to judge it on this particular outing. I mean, we'll see. He's playing against the worst team in the SEC in a 34-point game, but still, again, it counts for him, and it's good to see. But yeah, Missouri looks to have Bazelak. You've got Brady Cook. I mean, Sean Robinson's still there. You've got Tyler Macon coming in, so it looks like you've got some options at quarterback, and which is great, because if one of them doesn't work out, then you've got numbers. That means probably, you've got options, I guess. Hazelton could be a guy that comes back, hasn't been the year he expected. Flip side of that is does he want to come back because it hasn't been the year he expected? I don't know. We haven't talked to him for a long time, so I really don't have any idea on that. But just saying, he could. You're right. It makes some sense. But the other side of it is he might just look at this and say, nah, I'm done. It didn't work. I'm going to move on. Who knows? All that will be sorted out at the end of the season. Todd kind of asking about the same thing. Not sure. Look, we haven't talked to either of those guys in quite a while, and I don't really know the next time we will. So just kind of have to wait and see how it shakes out. It's going to be an interesting end of the year kind of off season to see what happens with a lot of those seniors, because it's so different from any other year. So Kentucky and Florida are now into the fourth. I guess I should update this Mizzou score. They've scored 17 points since I did it, so have that run across the bottom of the screen. 41-0 looks better than 24-0. There you go. The Lions fired Matt Patricia. I think that was not unexpected, maybe. I don't know why he got fired on a Saturday. I don't, how you get fired on your day off, I think is the rush hour line, or not rush hour, Friday line, but, whatever. Drink's play calling and style reminds me of Andy Reid. It's unique, fun, and lets his players show some personality. I've definitely seen a lot of things I like in the play calling and the scheme this year. Not building statues yet, but there's definitely a lot to like. There's some creativity there, no question. Yeah, curious to see first-time players. I know offhand Jack Buford played. Elijah Young has played before but got more extensive experience. Brady Cook played for the first time. Messiah Swinson, I believe, caught his first pass. I think pretty much everybody that's like eligible has probably played. Jelani Williams on the field now. Chad Bailey's out there again. Cannon York's out there right now. I would be stunned if anybody that's suited up for this game hasn't played, if you want the truth. I assume Derek Mason not really smiling under that mask. I don't think we need intentional grounding called in a 41-0 game with 6.5 minutes left, but I don't know. Maybe that's just me. I probably would have let it slide. Yeah, what about Michael Cox? Is he going to play? That's really the story here. Is Michael Cox going to play? I think that's what we need to know. Is there any chance Derek Mason keeps his job? If there was a chance before yesterday or before today, I don't see how there is today. I mean, I really don't. This is a team that there was no fight in this team today. There was just no fight, So, want to shout out Brandon. Appreciate the super chat and the thanks for what we're doing, and some of you guys did that last week on the show, and it's much appreciated. Like, this is something that we're putting out there for free. We do appreciate, hey, if you want to do that, that's great. We love it. We don't ask for it. But if you guys appreciate what we're doing, we appreciate that. So thanks, Brandon, for giving us a look and giving the show a chance. And again, just trying to do something a little bit different, trying to find a way to, well, I mean, you guys are all probably in a game like this, you're actually very happy watching this game. These are the kind of games, honestly, I would rather cover like a 27-24 game that's exciting for a while. It's good to cover a game like this because you're done with work early, because you can spend most of the second half riding. But doing it in this format is a little tougher because, like, we've had to find things to talk about the entire second half because this hasn't been a game for a long time. So that's where you guys come in and certainly make my job easier with all the questions and comments and things like that, and the Michael Cox watch to see if he gets to be a running back. So, Brandon, thanks for that, man. And again, we try to get as many of the comments on the screen as we can. That's certainly a way to make sure you get recognized because it shows up in a different color and draws attention and all that, and I really appreciate that. But we do try to include comments from as many of you guys as we can, because we know you got a bunch of different ways you could be consuming the game and doing things, and so we appreciate you hanging out here. And Vanderbilt just continuing to go backwards. Missouri just, I didn't see who made the tackle, but they just throw down a Vandy ball carrier there. Zach Osborne asking for potential candidates for Vandy. So we had Chris Lee from our Vanderbilt site on our pregame show, and we talked about that a little bit. Will Healy has an uncle who was an All-American at Vanderbilt. He's the Charlotte coach. His name came up briefly in Missouri Search last year. I think he's a good candidate. I think Billy Napier's out. That's not a thing that's going to happen. Chris said that Jeff Fisher has been pursuing this job for a year. I made the joke earlier that it'd be great because Vandy would love a guy who could go 6-6 every year. And then he brought up a third guy. Oh, the third name he brought up was Jamie Chadwell from Coastal Carolina, which that's the type of the guy that you say, would he take that job, or does he maybe wait for a more attractive Power 5 job? I'm not sure. But Chris said there seems to be some mutual interest there. So we'll kind of check it out. Jacob asking about Super Chat. Basically, it's a deal. You can just it's like throwing us a few bucks, and hey, it highlights your comment, and you say, hey, we appreciate what you're doing, and whatever your comment is, assuming it's clean, is going to get on the broadcast. Ragnar, for example, many of your comments are not going to get on the broadcast. So it's just kind of a way for fans to say, hey, or viewers, whatever. I don't want to call you guys fans. That seems weird. But viewers to say, we appreciate what you're doing, and we make sure to highlight you guys and shout you guys out for doing that. So, again, nothing that we're comfortable asking for, just something that if people want to do, that is cool. Jim Bob put it much better than I did. It's a donation to the host, to the program, no question. Mitchell saying, yeah, at least you get Mizzou content instead of the stuff they're making up on TV. Yeah, it's tough to watch the broadcast in something like this. And I'm sure it's tough to do the broadcast in something like this, right? I mean, I don't know what you talk about necessarily for 3.5 hours without – what they should do is open up their broadcast and just say, hey, tweet us here and ask us questions, and they should fill time that way. Didn't Will Healy think he was too good for Mizzou? I don't think that was the case necessarily. I don't think it ever really got to that point. I think Missouri talked to or looked into him. I don't know if they officially talked to him, but his name came up. But I don't think it ever came to the point where it was his job to turn down or anything like that. So, yeah, Healy would be a good candidate. Not sure he'll take it. I agree, but again, he's got an uncle who was an All-American at Vandy. If he would, I think that's a really good. Hire if Vandy could pull it off. Justin has had the Jaeger. Oh yeah, I forgot. Justin does a Jaeger bomb every time Missouri scores. They have now scored 7 times. Plus he did one pregame. Plus he's going to do one when they win. So we've got at least 9 Jaeger bombs. I expect a call from Justin on the postgame show. We'll see how that goes. Who's better, Kansas or Vandy? I have not watched Kansas play, so I can't say for sure. But I think they're really – Vandy's at least been competitive at times this year. Not today, but at times. Kansas really, I don't think, has much even been competitive this year. Like I said, I haven't watched them play. I've kind of forgot the Big 12 was playing at this point in time because I did watch some of Iowa State Texas yesterday, but other than that, I haven't watched much of it just because it's been fairly irrelevant. So yeah, Missouri's still harassing the hell out of the Vanderbilt quarterback. I see no way Vanderbilt scores a point. Yeah, Scott says Vandy is. I think you're saying Vandy is better than Kansas, which I think I agree with. The report on Jelani Williams, he was hurt his first year. God, that poor quarterback is just taking a beating. He was hurt his first year. That set him back a little bit. He's working into the rotation now. Harbaugh down 10 to Penn State. Man, I don't know how you fire Jim Harbaugh. They owe him $10 million, but oof, that's tough, man. That is tough. Oh, plus Justin did one after every quarter, so we're now looking probably at 12 Jaeger bombs. So good for you, man. Hey, we're counting down. We got, 3.5 minutes left. I honestly haven't even watched like the last 4 minutes of action. I assume Vandy's punting on 4th and 16, and Missouri's going to run out the clock probably. There you go. T-Rise said it first. Harbaugh to Vandy. That would be amazing. The Vandy punter is pretty good. Yeah, he's had a good day. No question. So Oh, hey, I just realized that on the stat screen, you guys haven't been able to hear me. Sorry. Anyway, Missouri completely dominating. I muted this so I had so you guys couldn't hear at halftime when it was just up for a break. But now I'm here. I just forgot to unmute my microphone. So Missouri dominating. Journey Jones in the game. I mean, just as T. Rise says, what else do you say at this point? Missouri dominated this game in every fashion you can dominate a football game. Brady Cook still dropping back. Oh, no, that's a replay of the touchdown to Damon Hazelton. I seriously thought Brady Cook was throwing a pass with 2 minutes left in this game, which would be, somewhat amusing. So, yeah, we got 3:09 left facing 2nd and 7, and I don't know. My feed might have given up, which wouldn't be the worst thing in the world. I mean, it's not like I'm going to miss a whole lot, honestly. But there, we'll hit play again. The mute button has caught everyone. We need Michael Cox in the game. This is really all we have to accomplish, is to get Michael Cox somehow in this football game. A man who I did not know existed until our pregame show a week ago, but he has quickly become a fan favorite, at least in our little cult following of people who have hung out here with us in the last 2 weeks. Larry Roundtree enjoying this one on the sideline. We are down now to 51 seconds left in the game. And I would assume 2 more snaps. Maybe you can run around long enough to make 1 more snap be good enough. I will probably not ask Eli why Michael Cox didn't get in the game. How many yards and touchdowns does Roundtree have on the year now? Let me look it up. See if I can get to that number before the game is over. So we are going to... I don't think I'm going to make it before the game is over, to be quite honest. But I'm going to give it a shot. Let's see. So far, he came into this game with 490 yards and 5 touchdowns, so he now has 650 yards and 8 touchdowns in 7 games, which is a pretty good season for Larry. So far, 650 is about 80 yards a game, and there you go. So it's gone final. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to jump on and finish up these stats. Missouri went over 600 total yards for the game, got to 603. Vandy's did not change. Missouri threw for 380, ran for 223, had 31 first downs, dominated every single facet of the game that you can. Vanderbilt, 196 total yards, just a complete tail kicking. Missouri wins it 41-0. It's a final. So, once again, I appreciate everybody for hanging out here. Thank you for spending the game with us. It's over right at 3 hours. So, I'm going to jump off. I'm going to get on Eli Drinkwitz's Zoom call, and I'm going to be back with the post-game drink within, I'm going to guess, within half an hour. Could be a little bit longer, but hopefully within half an hour, we will jump on the post-game show, and hopefully we'll hear from you guys, both comments and on the phone there. So thanks for hanging out. I'm going to pop back here. Thank Call and Gentry Law Group one more time. Thank all you guys for spending game day with us. Post-game show coming up right after Eli Drinkwitz talks.